performance testing regarding anything, whatever you want to ask. So let's get started with the TOC. So we'll be covering right from the beginning the basics of what is performance testing, how it is done, what are the common performance testing issues, performance test objectives, process, what is workload modeling, what are the KPIs, what are the counters, how do we analyze the test, how do we report the test, what is a tool which is called Perfmon, and what exactly is a HP loader, what are the components of HP loader, how do you create your script, how do you enhance your script, what is transaction, what is a correlation, parameterization, where you do dynamic handling of your data, how do you apply a validation on your script, scenario design, test execution, how do you merge your graphs to see a correlation between two parameters. So those all things we'll be covering in this in the course section. When you are opting for a proper course, these are the topics which is getting covered in that. Now we'll move on to the introduction of HP Loader. So what exactly is HP Loader? It's a load testing tool which is provided by the HP. It's a market holder for sure, and it is rich enough to give you ample amount of data when you execute a test. So when your application is going to go live, you could have all those issues, mostly which is coming because of performance that is identified, and you could have a resolution to those issues. So you won't be failing in your real-time production environment because of the performance issue, which could be a probable cause. So if you see, there are three basic components of the HP Loader. This is ViewGen, controller, and analysis or analyzer. So ViewGen is the component which is required which gives you a leverage to create a script. When I say script is a steps to execute. So whatever you want to execute in your use case, that is gonna have to be kept somewhere so that a tool could understand when you are simulating the number of users. So that steps are getting created in ViewGen. Somebody is on unmute, please. It's making a disturbance. Now we'll see the controllers. The second component is controller, which is used for the execution of the test. Means you design your scenario, you create a workload model in this controller. Once you created your script in the ViewGen, you want to have something where you could define that, okay, fine, I want to execute this particular test with 10,000 users. So when you are saying that you want to execute for 10,000 users, so you would be saying that, okay, fine, I want to execute this 10,000 users in some kind of fashion. I don't want to execute it right away. I want to execute 5,000 first and then 5,000 first. So those all kinds of scenarios or workload models could be defined in a controller, which is used for execution of tests. Then comes the analyzer, which provides you a view based on your execution. So once the execution gets completed, analyzer comes into the role where it creates a user view based on your data. So you could analyze, you could create a merge, you could see different types of graphs, you could see the parameters corresponding to your transaction names, the average response time, the maximum, minimum for the duration of your test, what is the throughput of the application, what is the hits per second. So all those details you could analyze in the analyzer. So let's move on quickly to the creation of a demo, creation of a script. So we'll see. So if you see, this is the ViewGen, which is kind of, this is the ViewGen looks like when you just open it first. So we'll go quickly to the new script creation. What I'm going to execute today is, I'll just go to this is the site. This is the landing page of the application. So I'm creating a scenario for a landing page. Then I am logging in with the credentials. So I'm getting logged in. I'm logging into the application. and then I'm signing off. So this is the scenario we'll be doing for creation of a script. So let's begin it first. So when you click on new script and solution, it will give you a prompt which is having number of protocols. So this is the place where you select that how do you want to interact with your application. So what is the protocol basically used in your architecture? So this is completely dependent on the architecture. Let's say, for example, your application is based on .NET or Ajax or anything. So you could select corresponding to that. Let's say, for example, you want to do database performance testing and you want to have that number of queries to be hit on the database at particular time. So you could just go with the ODBC or Oracle or anything and create a connection and pass on your script over there, means your query to hit on the system. So that completely depends on the application. On the application, how do you want to interact with that? What is the architecture of the application and what is the protocol which is getting used in that application? So we are going to use this web HTTP HTML because it's a basic browser-based application, and I'll name it as maybe a test script. Just name it test script. And I have a folder which is created already, so it is getting saved in this particular folder. So you could save it anywhere, wherever you want. So once you click on create, it will give you this particular section which is having the views, init, action, and end. So these are the three sections where you define your code or your request. So wherever you want to keep it, you could keep it in action, you could keep it in end. Let's say, for example, there is an application which is login and then doing some activity and then logging out, and you want to have that login and logout separate and which needs to be executed only once. So these two sections are getting executed only once if you define that in your runtime setting. So there is a runtime setting where you could define a configuration that how do you want to execute that particular code. So we'll see that later on some pages. So now let's go and record a script. So when I say record a script, I'll be capturing the particular activity which I'm going to do on a browser. So let's select this Microsoft Internet Explorer. That completely depends on our application architecture again, that if, let's say, for example, your application is supporting Google Chrome only or Mozilla or something else, so you could select it from there. Going with the plain and simple Internet Explorer, and I'm giving the URL of the first page, which is a landing page. So once I click on start recording, see there is a toolbar which is coming up here and it says that the elements are getting recorded in here. So if you see the count, it is getting increased with the load of the page. Give it a name, login. So login means I'm creating a packet over there. I'm creating a boundary for those requests. So I'm now logging into the system now. I'm logging into the system. Now this is the page which comes in when you log into this application. Now I'm saying I'm signing off. Sign off. So I'm creating a boundary so that I could understand that, okay, fine, this is the particular request which is coming for this activity. I'm clicking on sign off. So this is sign off. That's done. So I'm closing that particular transaction, and I'm stopping this recording. Okay, fine. I have done almost all the business transaction which I need to perform. So I need to stop it now. Once you click on stop, it will create a user script that is a number of requests. Means capture a request and create it in the format which LoadRunner understands. So if you see, we are having some request. So this is the URL which I hit at the first. So new to demoout.com. So this is the first URL of the application. then you will find that, okay, this is something which I needed, which I asked for the server. But what is that exactly? What is this GIF? Again, this is GIF. Again, this is GIF. So how does these GIF are coming up? So there is an option. So let's take it in a plain and simple way, that if you hit on google.com or something like that, it redirects, or it sends the request underneath with that particular URL also. So there are multiple URLs which are getting processed at the same time when you ask for the some particular request. So this is completely based on logic. So logic of the application, whatever be the logic of the application, it sends the URL based on that. So what we'll do some enhancement of the script. We need that particular login landing page only. We don't need these to be tested this time. What we'll remove this particular section, which is having that the unnecessary URLs or requests which are coming up there. This is the first one which is there. Similarly, in the login, we'll see that, okay, fine, this is the page, and here is the credential which is getting passed from which I logged into the system. So this is the exact request which I needed. Rest apart from that, there are GIF again, so we don't need those things. So we'll remove that. Again, this is a sign off, so this is the first request which I need. After that, there is something which is flag, which is GIF. Again, the GIF, I don't need that. This is the concurrent call, I don't need it right now. So this is all done. So when you see that, these are the three URLs which I needed. I need to go on a landing page, which is the first page of the application. I need to go on a login. I need to pass on my credential and log into the system, which is this, where my credentials are getting passed over here, username and password. And then I need to sign up from the application. So this is my business use case which I am trying to simulate over here, which I am trying to capture. So these all are done. So once you enhance your script, there could be multiple things with the enhancement, like I had given this transaction name, I could give the think time also, which is a wait between a transaction. So if you say, let's wait for 5 seconds. So I'm saying that I'm giving that 5-second think time before each and every transaction, which is right before the start of the transaction. Not once the transaction is getting started, you have to wait over there. You have to wait before the transaction. And why do we give that think time? Because of the real-time simulation. So when you see, the real-time users don't go just click. They just go on a page, they wait over there, and then they process something. Then they request for some URLs or some activity. So that's why for real-time processing or real-time simulation, you need to have a think time or delay between the transactions. So now let's. So this is something which is the enhancement of script. Another enhancement could be, let's say for example, we have multiple user credentials. I want to use that every time. So what I'll do, I'll parameterize these parameters. Again, something like, let's say for example, this OSC ID is getting generated for new user. A new value is getting generated every time on the runtime. That is, there is a logic in the code which generates this particular value every time when you log into the system. So you need to capture those things also. So there in the picture comes the correlation. So you need to handle those values. So these are the things which you could do for the enhancement of your application. Once you do the enhancement, you need to check that if it is working fine or not. So there is a replay option where you could go and replay your script. So once you replay your script, it will say that, okay, fine. The person is saying that, okay, he needs to access this particular URL and then he needs to log into the system. So just log in into the system, then he says that okay fine, log out. So this is how it is getting validated. So if you see the runtime viewer, which is a same screen, this captures all those activities which is getting performed while replay activity. So once you replay that, it captures all those records. So this is the first URL. We wanted to have that landing page. So this is the landing page. So we are good. Okay, fine. This is great. Second, I need to log in into the system. So that is great. I'm logged in with my script. Now I want to log out. So this is fine. So this is how you create. Now it's validated that the script which you created is working fine for you. This is doing the same thing which you have asked. So that's okay. Now comes in the picture the controller. How do you want to execute this script? So let's see the controller. So this is the component of the load runner which is used to execute design scenarios. So once you design the scenario, you could execute the test. Here you define that okay fine, I need to execute the scenario for the particular business case, and I need to simulate that many number of users. I need to simulate those users in particular fashion. So all those things, all those configuration, you need to define it in your controller machine, means controller component. So there is the way to select the scripts whichever you want to run. So let's say for example we had created this test script. So I'm selecting this test script. So let's select this test script and then click OK. So once you click OK, it will give you an option to this UI opens up when you click on OK. So it says that okay fine, this is your script. Now you select a load generator. Load generator is a device. Load generator is a component where actually what happens, controller is the machine, controller is the component which generates, which sends the command to the load generator to execute that many number of users. So the actual execution of those requests is happening on the load generator part. So when you create in a real-time environment, there will be a cluster of load generator. There is one small configuration machine which acts as a load controller, and others high configuration machines would be acting as a load generator. So now comes the point, okay fine, I want to execute this particular script, and for how many users I want to execute. So let's execute it for 2 users only. Okay fine, so now I defined that okay I need to execute for 2 users, but how do I want to execute that 2 users? How do I want those 2 users to come into the system? Because here it's a small number 2, but in a real-time projects or your actual assignments, you will be executing a performance test with around 10,000 users or 100k users. So that would be huge amount of load. And you cannot just post that huge amount of load onto the servers, because it could a possibility that it will break a system. So you have to keep a step. You have to move your users into the system in a step. So that's the place where you define the step. So I'm saying that okay fine, I need 1 user every 5 seconds. I'm clicking OK. So once I click OK, so guys see this particular step, it is getting in form of step. That first user will be coming in the 5 seconds, and then again after 5 seconds the second user will be coming into the system. Now I want to say that okay fine, run the test for around 2 minutes, just for 2 minutes. So I'll apply this, I'll click on this. So if you see, the design will be changed here, and it will say that okay fine, I am executing this particular test. This is a steady state time, that once the user will be ramped up into the system, once the user will be coming into the system, then it will execute steady state, means the whole duration of that after ramp up will be 2 minutes. now I want to say that, okay, fine, I want to stop that user in the same fashion I have logged in into the system. So I'm saying that, okay, every one user after 5 seconds. So that's how it creates a scenario. So now I have defined my workload that I need to execute for 2 users, I need to execute for 2 minutes, and I need to have my users, one user every 5 seconds. So that's how you define. One important thing which needs to be defined is the configuration. How do you want to run that particular script? So this, for those configuration, there is a runtime setting which is available here. So here you define that, okay, fine, I need to execute one iteration. So at the beginning we saw that, okay, fine, there are 3 sections: view, user, init, and variant. So there comes in the picture that 3 sections. How do you utilize those sections in particular? So if you say that, okay, fine, I need to execute this for that number of time, then you could insert a block over here, and you could say that this particular section will be executed, and then again that particular block will be executed. So there you could define the run logic. And in the plain and simple way, you could define it here that, okay, fine, this particular action, how many times I want to repeat that specific action. So let's say, for example, currently I'm saying 1. Let's say we can take it any number of times. Let's say, for example, I'm doing some account update or something like business transaction, which is asking me for doing some particular activity for 5 times at one go. So I can define it here that, okay, fine, just do it for 5. So if you see, it says that, okay, fine, this action will be done for the 5 times. So that's how you define the logic. Then there is a pacing. Pacing is the think time or a delay between the iteration. So once the iteration is completed, if you want to say that, okay, fine, once the iteration is getting completed, you have to stop for some particular duration. So let's stop it for, say, 5 seconds. So let's design it for 5 seconds, fixed interval of 5 seconds. Now there is a configuration for log. How do you want to keep your logs? You want to have a standard view, you want to have an extended view. There you could define that. Think time, how do you want to keep your think time? Replay as recorded, or you want to multiply, you want to have a random number. Those things you could define it here. Additional attribute, if you have any particular argument or value which you want to pass, or how do you want to keep your test when it gets an error. So these all configuration you could define in your runtime setting. So once you define that, just clicking OK, and we are good. So now you could save that particular scenario. So I have a folder specifically for that. I'm just saving that test scenario with a name. And if you see, there is a extension which is .lrs. So .lrs is always a scenario file. So .usr is the Vusion script, .lrs is the scenario file, and .lra is the analysis report file. So these are the extension which is available with the LoadRunner. Once you create different component scenarios or scripts or those things, so that could be defined. One more important thing, you could define your result setting. Where do you want to keep your data? So I say that I want to keep it in results, lr_results. So I'll name it as a test result. So now these files will be saved in this particular location. So this is all set. We have defined a scenario. We have defined the location for stats to be saved, and now we are good to start the test. So what we had designed the scenario that within 10 seconds, those 2 users will be coming into the system. So let's see if it happens here or not. So if you just have a look on this elapsed time, and once you click on start scenario, this user is coming into the system. See, that is in the first second. With 5 seconds, the second user comes into the system. So at the end of 10 seconds, there will be 2 users in the system which are getting executed. And there are multiple graphs which are available. So while you are executing an actual performance test, you need to monitor these graphs. So there are different graphs which are available here, like hits per second, throughput, transaction response time, XYZ. So if you see, I'm getting some kind of error over here, which is possibly because of load generator, because it's a small duration machine. So CPU of this load generator has exceeded 80%. That means the configuration of my machine is too small to handle these loads. So that's why it is getting executed. Basically, too many processes are working in the background. So that's why the CPU is getting consumed. So you need to have a standalone isolated environment for your performance test, so that nothing is going on in the background. And also, when you run a test in a performance environment, there will be a cluster of load generator and controllers. Controller will be a single machine, and there will be a cluster of load generator based on your test. So if you see, there are stats which are coming up. This is the duration of time, which is a elapsed time, and then we have a past transaction, we have a failed transaction, if we got any error or not, and we have service visualization. If we want to visualize our network at the same time, so we can on and off this particular service visualization. There you go, the transaction response time. So this is the number of user which is saying that, okay, fine, these are ready, finished, running, error. There is nothing. So these are all in running state currently. So these are running. There is a transaction response time which gives you parameters around your transaction, which is landing, login, sign up. So these are the transactions which are available there, and I'm getting that maximum it is taking off 0.982 seconds, and average is 887. So that means whatever number of transaction which is happening over here is maximum taking 982 seconds, 0.982 seconds, and average is 887. So that's how you replicate your data. So let's see, this is gradually stopping, right? We have a 2 minutes of duration of test. So it is getting stopped in 2 minutes 32 seconds. So total execution time is 2 minutes 32 seconds. Now it is generating a report for you based on your execution. So let's see what is getting generated. Okay, so if you see, there is a whole data which is coming up, right? Right from the start of the test, that when did you started the test, when it is getting ended, and then what's the scenario name, what is the session test result name, what is the duration of the test, maximum number of user which executed, what is the throughput of the application, what is the average throughput, what is the total hits which is made to the server, and then we have that KPIs. The total action is completed. If you execute the whole transaction, landing, login, and sign off, that will comprise of the action, and it will take average of 8.184 seconds. And if you see particularly on the landing page, login page, or sign up page, it will give you a data around there also. So you could find each and every data. Now comes the graphs, what they are offering for a graph. So if you see, this is the graph which they are offering. I mean, this should be similar to your execution. Whatever you designed in your scenario, that should be similar. So if you see, within 10 seconds, the 2 users will be coming into the system, and they are static in the system till the end of 2 minutes, and then they are starting to ramp down. So that's how it should be. So it is good enough for us. We could see the hits per second graph, that how the system is, how the load generator is hitting that application, means creating a request to the application. So this is the trend of the application hits you could find over there. Now the throughput, how the application is responding to the request, you could find that, okay, fine, this is getting high over here, we have a maximum peak over here. So you could analyze based on these data. I need to see how the transactions are going up. So if you see this yellow one, this green one is increasing, which is for which transaction? This is action transaction, means total transaction, means total duration of time for execution of test. The whole 3 transactions are getting performed in the maximum of 17.55 seconds. So this is how you analyze using this report analysis. Now, if you want to create a if you want to generate it in a format like if you want to export it to Excel, you could just go over here and you could export it, your summary result, to Excel. And if you want to apply some kind of filter, let's say for example, I want to apply that, okay fine, this is the scenario elapsed time. So I want to have the data for steady state only. That means from 10 seconds to 2 minutes. I don't want extra, I don't want before that. So I could apply a filter over there. I could click on OK, and this will give me a data for exactly the same duration of time which is executed for the steady state. So these are the kind of activities you could do with your analysis report. I guess we had completed most of it. Yes. Okay, so now it's your turn. So you could ask any question if you want to have anything which you think. I'll go to the browser and let's see. Any question you guys could ask. If you want to have, because we had a time, so we could just go back and see if you want to see anything, any particular section. Okay, Samiksha, which logs you are talking about? So there are different logs. If you see in the view gen, there is a log over here where you could just see that, okay fine, which of the transactions are getting passed when you are creating a script. And then means these are the logs which are available. If you see on a controller, there you get a log for your transaction or failures or anything. You could just go over there, drill down, and you could just have the details of all those activities. So you could find that, okay fine, this is failing, this is action number, anything which you want to see, you could just get it right away from here. Okay, session ID. All right. So that is something which you need to capture while creating a script. So there is a component which is code generation. So code generation is a component which captures all the request and response of your application. So let's say for example we have this particular OSC ID, which is let's take it as a session ID. So I'll go to the control home, start of this message, and if I search this, I'll get this for sure. So this is coming up as some cookie. So there is the place where you search all the session ID or anything which you need to correlate. And from there you need to apply the boundaries and you need to apply the logic that how do you want to correlate those values. Does that answer your question, Mayank? Any scripting language is required in? So basically LR is based on C. So you need to have an idea of C, though they have their own built-in functions. So if you see the script which we created, this is LR underscore end transaction, LR underscore think time. These are inbuilt function which they have. But let's say for example this is a plain and simple script, so you could use that plain and simple things which are available. But let's say for example if you want to apply some kind of logic, so it is based on C. So you need to have a brief idea of C. Does that answer your question, Mank? Yeah, exactly. You could have that particular language, means you could use Java, you could use that, but it is based on C. So by default it's C, but you could use other languages also. You need to have the plugin, you need to have to do some configurations on that. Okay, so exactly, we don't have protocol analyzer now, so how can we check that protocol we can use in the script? So that's a question from Samiksha. So Samiksha, protocol analyzer means I don't have used a protocol analyzer ever wherever I created a script. So there is a development team which is the best one to answer your question for the protocols, because you need to have the understanding of the architecture of the application, and you need to have an idea that how the systems are getting communicating with each other. So let's say, for example, there is an application which is a 3-tier architecture, and there is a database which is also interacting with some kind of Siebel or some kind of SAP application. So you need to have that understanding with communicating with the developer, that how exactly the application is interacting with each other and what is the way of communication. So there you could get a idea on your protocols and what protocol could be used. Does it answer your question? Okay, so anybody else? Any questions? Any question, guys? Next session details. That you need to ask with the organizer, Samisha. I don't have any idea on that. Any question, anything related to performance testing? Okay, what to parameterize? Okay, that's a question. That's a good question. So I'll show you some script which I had created earlier for you guys. Okay, fine. So what we had done, this is the same script which we created right away, but here we have parameterized the user and name and password. So you ask that what needs to be parameterized. So whatever be the input which you are giving into the system, that things you could parameterize. So the data file, you could say. So this is the kind of thing you could do. So I had created a parameterization for that. So see, this is the username, this is the password, and now I can give any number of parameters. Let's say, for example, I have 100 credentials, so I can pass in 100 credentials. I can define that how I want to use these 100 credentials. So that can be done over here. So anything which you are passing as an input, that can be parameterized. So that answers your question. It is. Okay, so any question? When can we use correlation? That's Samisha asked. Okay, so correlation is something which is a handling of dynamic data. So anything which is coming up dynamically, let's say for example that session ID. So when you are logging in with your credential, let's take an example that there is an application where you are logging in with your credential, and every time you log in, it gives you a session. It provides a particular alphanumeric number every time you log into the system. So you cannot use that particular, let's see our script. There is this OSC ID, which is alphanumeric number. But in this case, it is getting used, the same value is getting used every time. But let's take an example of the application where logic in the code is written that, okay, fine, whenever you get that particular login request with the credential, you generate this alphanumeric number, a unique alphanumeric number every time. So in that case, you need to handle those alphanumeric numbers or those dynamic values with a correlation. Does it answer you? Okay, any more questions? Anything, how do we do performance testing? What can be done in performance testing? Anything you want to know? What is the eligibility criteria of performance testing? What do you guys want to have in that TOC? I mean, if you want to learn that particular tool, LoadRunner, what do you guys expect to have that? what are the topics you want to learn in the plain and simple ways. Anyone, anything? Any question, guys? Anything you could ask. We have a time. Okay, so let's wait a minute for. Okay, so Samiksha, it's a time constraint. We have just 1 hour in which we had to complete that whole thing. So you need to have an idea of what exactly it is, how you want to do. So those all things need to be covered in that small duration of time. So that's why it's little fast and little brief. Means it's a idea on that. For sure. Anything you guys want to ask? Because I guess the organizer is coming in a minute. How do we do benchmarking? That's Mayank. How do we do benchmarking of the application? Okay, fine. So benchmarking is something which is done for the application. So when you run the test, you get to have an idea, you get to have these stats. Let's say, for example, we had run it for 2 users right now. So we have the number for current implementation of this application. So we know that, okay, fine, maximum it can go up to 29 seconds and minimum it can go to the 5.248 seconds. So that's a number. Everything in the performance testing works on a number. So anything which you do, you cannot do without a number. So if you want to benchmark an application or a current implementation, you need to have a performance test to be executed on particular business use cases. You need to have the numbers around those particular business use cases, and then you can certify that, okay, fine, this is the number which you would be getting for the maximum when you execute a test on this particular user base, which is this. So that's how you certify your application or you benchmark your application. Does it answer your question, Mayank? Okay, so Mayank is asking that these numbers if given from client end or company standards. So that's a thing that, let's say for example, there is an application which is currently running in production, and there is a new implementation or new CR which is coming up for that application. So in that case, you have a business use case which is already applied in a production, and you have the numbers around them. So in that case, you would be getting that number from the client. Company standard comes into the picture when there is a new application and you don't have any idea of that application, that how does it gonna behave, or how much you are expecting the benchmark to be, the SLA to be for the particular use case. So in that case, you will be getting some idea from the client. You'll be asking your client that, okay, fine, I don't have the numbers around there, so you just give me the hypothetical number, and you need to compare that with some, you would say, that competitor of the same application. Let's say for example there is a retail application, so you need to compare that with the same retail application, similar retail application from other competitor, that okay, fine, if this application is going in this much duration of time, So this is the particular number we need to target. So that's how it works. So every time it doesn't come with the client end, and every time you don't have, for already running application, you could ask your client that, okay, fine, give me the numbers for that. For new application, you need to have the hypothetical number from your client 2 and or client or BA, and you need to have that compared with your company standard or competitors. Does it answer the question? Okay, Nitish, I don't understand the pros and cons, what you are trying to ask. I cannot find means pros and cons in terms of anything, if you want to elaborate that. Nitish, you there? So guys, this is pros and cons. Basically, I don't understand exactly, but if you relate that with the application perspective, there are different parameters on which you could define the complexity. You would say that, okay, fine, that's something. If you talk about the script creation or execution or designing complexity level, so it's okay. It's not that complex once you get used to that. But initially, you get to have some understanding of those commands, those functions which are getting called for your script creation or something, and designing of scenario, you need to have some logical conception over there. So you need to, once you get used to it, it's not that tough or anything. Apart from that, I cannot refer what is pros and cons you are asking for. You need to be specific on that. Anything else?
I'm so sorry to keep you on hold. Guys, can you hear me? Avinash, Kuldeep, Mayank, Nitish, Samiksha, Vibhor and Vijay. Hello? I'm so sorry guys to keep you on hold. Guys, can you hear me? Avinash, Kuldeep, Mayank, Nitish, Samiksha, Vibhor and Vijay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going one-on-one. Avinash, first I would like to know from your side that what is good you have found in this demo session for yourself.
Well, I get some basic information about the load ladder. Although I've learned something about JMeter. So which one is better, JMeter or the load ladder?
Mm-hmm.
This one asking from the you. Is JMeter is better than load ladder or the load ladder is better?
That trainer can give better explanation.
So that is nothing to be a better or something like that. JMeter is an open source tool and LoadRunner is a paid tool. But for a 50 users license, it's free. So if you want to learn, the market holder is a LoadRunner at a time. And if you have a shot on that, that's a maximum tool which performance system can use for a load balancing perspective. So that's a standard tool which is used. JMeter is an open source tool which is available in the market. So they are altogether different tools. So that's nothing better or something like that. This is having some other features like LoadRunner. You have a flexibility to create a script. You have flexibility to design your scenario in a simple way. You have flexibility to create a plain and simple template formatted report. So those are things you need to have to specify in that tool. That is something like that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. See, no tool is Avinash. No tool is bad or good. Even nowadays, we can see that there is a one tool when we have started our career 11, 12 years before. At that time, it was running like a Ruby on Rail. Now
Hmm.
again, Ruby on Rail again in a practice. So
Yeah.
no tool is a good or bad unless and until if we are not making ourselves perfect on that. I am saying that if you are good in Selenium, you are good in SOAP UI, or you are good in JMeter or Load Runner, everywhere the job is there. But the thing is, you have to at certain par level so that company can consider you. So I like trainer said, and as I know with my experience that if you are good in JMeter, you are good enough to
Hmm.
select in any of the company. You are if you have a knowledge on a load runner, good knowledge, not knowledge, then you are good,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
So, Kuldeep, now same question from you. What good you have found in this demo workshop for yourself? We can't hear you. Your voice is very low. Yes, little bit.
If we could chat maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Mayank, what about you? Mayank, Mayank, you can type. No worries. So now coming to Nitish, what about you?
Yeah, hi guys. Can
Uh,
you hear me?
yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that's pretty good. I was looking for a basic overview on Load Runner, and I think yeah, I have got it. And I was just looking for it that how to use it, and I'm pretty much satisfied with the session. If any upcoming session is there, please let us know. That would be really helpful for me.
Say again, please.
One, yeah, if any session, upcoming session is there, please let us. And one more question from presenter that I guess we cannot integrate load runner with Selenium, right?
That a trainer can
Uh,
come.
so there are two standalone tools. So Selenium is a automation tool and LoadRunner is a performance tool. So there is no way. I mean, Selenium you would be evaluating the score, and with the load thing, it was just capturing try to simulate the number. So that's how these two tools are standalone different. But if you want to integrate that Selenium with some kind of load simulator or some kind of it is a Taurus, which is a tool.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Nitish. Mike has typed that as of now he explained the basic overview for all the component of LR and also clear the doubt which I had. Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you. And Samiksha, what about you?
Yeah, hi all, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, actually, first of all, thank for such an informative session. And yes, I have actually earlier I have many doubts because I tried so many, I attend so many YouTube sessions, but actually I have many doubts. But now it's all clear, and even I get some information of helpful information for the scripts too, that we can clear those .gif file. Earlier I don't know that, so thanks a lot for that.
Okay,
And I'm looking for the future sessions.
okay. Thank you so much, Samiksha. Even uh, the problem is in our last session when we have done for Selenium, there is one guy you guys won't believe that I'm not going to take his name or his organization name, and this was a surprising for me because he is working in CMI level 3 company in Noida itself, and at 4 years of experience, you guys won't believe that how much package he is drawing. He is having 28 lakhs right now at 4 years of experience, which is 7
Yes.
times of his
Yes.
years of experience. So I was surprised and I was absolutely astonished that when I got to know his package, and he is a trainer for Selenium in Refermi Group, and he is doing not because of money, because he is passionate to teach. So there was the same question asked by one participant that I'm not saying that you have asked same question, but this question was asked in demo when he started for Selenium. So one girl was there. She asked that why should I attend your workshop if tools or the videos are available on YouTube? So very nicely he explained that everything is available on YouTube. You can go and you can learn it. I'm not saying that people only who join training institute or institute they only clear IIT exam. People do by their own as well. But what happens that on YouTube or there you do not find any mentor there, right? Who can help you and
Yeah,
who
and
can
even you can't clear your doubts. If you have any doubt, there is no one to clear your doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And most important is that learning is one attitude, and second is your mentor gives you confidence that yes, I can learn and I can do the things. So that is very important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
40% of the part is done when your mentor is good. So here in Refer Me Group, any of the trainer I can bet upon, like another demo is going on for SOAP UI as well, and one was done for Unix. And you won't believe that I especially find out those trainers only who have proved themselves. Like for Selenium, I have told you, the SOAP UI, the trainer gives seminars on SOAP UI not only in India but outside. And 18 people has joined demo today, and out of 18, no one has said the demo was not good. Like for Unix, I have done Unix trainer has a feedback to me that client was going to scrap the complete project of 50 resources because this guy has resigned from the organization. So this kind of trainer we introduce in Refer Me Group. And load runner trainer, I can bet upon this guy who has given the demo that you will get the best from him.
Yes. Then thanks for that.
So even thanks, I should say thanks to you guys, because you have shown your trust on Refer Me, and that is the reason we are now 6,000 in members. So anything else, you guys? Yeah, thank you. So anything else, you guys have any questions? Anything you would like to ask? Avinash, Kuldeep, Mayank, Nitish, and Samiksha.
Hello. Hi, Randhira.
Yeah.
Hello. Can we test desktop application using HP Load Runner?
Yeah, exactly. You could have a testing of the desktop application, but client-side testing is not used to have. You don't have to have client-side testing on HP Load Runner. It means there are a number of tools you could use that. But if you want to have that testing, you could record that particular application. It's not like you cannot record. If you see the screen, there is a web browser and there is a Windows application also. So like that, you could record the application and you could have the scenario test. Okay?
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. And one more question. How it is better than the Selenium?
Okay, so Selenium is something which is an automation tool. So when you have to have some UI testing where you want to validate your UI, means you don't have to create a load. Let's say, for example, you have created a Selenium script and you want to execute some 10,000 users load. So how do you define that? How do you execute that? So that's a leverage which Load Runner provides. Once you create a script, you would be able to execute it with as many number of users as you want, and you could create an actual load over there. You don't have a statistics like whatever you are getting in a load runner, the throughput, the hits per second, whatever it is, based on the number of users. So that is the leverage which is having a load runner. So these two are altogether different tools. That is something which is automation. This is something which is performance testing. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any question, guys? Yeah, exactly. For mobile application, we can use the load runner. There is a configuration which is currently available with the load runner. Earlier, it was paid, and it should be a standalone different tool. But currently, they are providing for the web application, for the mobile application altogether on the same platform. So you could test your mobile application with the load runner. You need to have that configuration of for sure to be defined. Anybody? Any question, guys? Okay. So I guess there is no question now. You could ask anything regarding performance testing or current session or anything, whatever comes in your mind. Okay, so we are almost out of time. I mean, on the time basically. We have completed at 9:57. So that's okay. So thank you. Okay, Vibhor asked something. Scenarios will provide by whom and tester will create. Okay, fine. So scenarios, Vibhor, that's basically a business scenario. So test cases. So test cases will be provided by your client or your user, and you have to validate those particular test cases. That okay, fine. If this is the use case, how relevant is this use case to be eligible for performance testing? And then you will create a script for that. That's how it works. For COBOL or DB2, how can we use load runner? Okay, so Nitin, there must be some protocol which could be available for COBOL or DB2, but I'm not sure about that because I have not worked on COBOL or DB2. So DB2, I guess, yeah, for DB2 for sure it will be there. For COBOL, it's a very previously. I mean, it's a long time getting used in the system or market. So I'm not sure they are providing any protocol for that or not. But yes, for DB2, there is possibility. There is a protocol which is available right now. So you could create a script for those scenarios. Anything else?
So thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend and just give a pat on your back because today you have managed the time for yourself, and which shows your dedication, especially on a weekend, that you have taken time for yourself. So first appraise yourself that you are on the path of progress. And again, thank you so much for joining this workshop and have a nice weekend. Take care.
And sorry, can you please tell us next session information?
Yes, on the same
Will you
WhatsApp.
share on the next?
Yeah, I will share.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.